We're co-wives and co-founders of OutstandingPersonalRelationships.com. And Coach Nazir, he's actually going to be behind the scenes, so you guys are stuck with us.
You should say it a different way next time. I should say I'm Nyla, and you say you're Coach Fatimah. Coach Fatimah. I can't confuse everybody.
Yeah, right. So today, okay, so guys, seriously, this month has been, we talked about connection. This is the month of connection, talking about connection and all that other good stuff. And even if you are living under a rock or we're living under a rock, everybody knows that they are talking about. We're talking about the social distancing and the COVID-19 and all. Get over some more. Yeah, IG trying to smush my co-wife out, so we got a little closer with Aaron extra dry. I just totally aged myself with that.
Don't tell him that.
So anyway, but yeah, so
this you're talking about, Nyla.
So yeah, the COVID-19, you guys know they talk about, we got this coronavirus thing going on. People are being quarantined, about social distancing, almost 6 feet away. A lot of this different stuff that's going on, and it's causing a lot of stress.
Yeah.
A lot of chaos, a lot of
hardship.
Yeah. And that goes to even inside families, inside households, because it's true. One of the things that, I can say is that it takes it changes up the routine.
It does. It disrupts everything. Yeah. It just changes it. It's like being turned upside down and shaken. Everything is just different now.
Right. We kind of got into it. This is what we're going to talk about today, guys. So let us know. We're going to give you guys some time to share. Sharing is caring. So make sure you share. And if you like it, subscribe, all that other good stuff. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Those who are following us on YouTube on the live stream. And let us know where you're from. We want to know. This is COVID-19 free zone. That's how we're connecting with you in this month of connection through video. Okay, and make sure you share and connect with others the same way. So that's the thing. It caused a lot of stress. So what we're going to talk about how to keep your connection, keep quality connection, how to not allow this to break your relationships, or put a strain on your relationships, because it's not just with quarantine or anything like that. It's just highly stressful times, regardless of
they
what
can apply at any stressful time.
Right.
It's about making things more normal.
Yeah.
Yourself, or normalizing or having some normalcy in your life. And it's like you can create that because you know what your life looks like.
Right, exactly.
So it's so important. Just every day, like my co-wife was saying, this can apply at any time when you feel stressed. So we really want to focus on talking about the how-tos to get through this and just sustain it. As we were talking about sustaining different healthy habits too. So this is going to be a good live. I'm excited
because it's crazy, because my brain is just going on definitely disrupt. Like right now, because while we're going live, we are going through this panic. So that's kind of what's at the forefront of a lot of people's mind right now. It's like we talked about a lot of different things, and even mental health during that time. Like I said, it could cause a lot of stress and anxiety. The one thing is I'm noticing, and we know this, a lot of people are losing their jobs. They can't work. So think about, not even if it wasn't a situation that it's this lockdown and everything, like there's this quarantine and places are, closing in, the husband. Sometimes after a while, I've noticed that some wives get to the point of feeling that he's less than because he's not working in it. And that causes a lot of stress. He's already stressed out on his own, thinking, how I'm going to provide for my family.
And he might feel lesser than. So it's like the knife.
Right. So how do you, not do that? How do you, yes, I know I'm stressed out because you are supposed to be the provider and you're not the provider and they're not being the provider. And how do you get out of your own emotions in your own way to make sure that, the family is thriving in a stressful situation? Period.
Yeah, it's, when we think about how things shift, like we were saying, our lives are shifting. And if the breadwinner, whether that be the man or the watching, was it their intention to be let go from their job? Or is it something that was out of their control? Because when we start going, it's different to say you quit your job versus someone let you go.
Yeah.
They want to work. Right. They want to feel needed. They want to provide. They want to matter, and they still do matter. So it's the intention of, the person that got let go or that is in this position. I think it's super important to activate your empathy and your effort in these situations.
Right.
The other shoe.
I agree.
Look and see if the shoe is on the other foot.
How would you feel? Exactly. So those type of things, it's I can say it's cut and dry, but when you're in a situation where you are stressed out or it's a lot of stress in a confined space, it's a difficult thing to deal with. So we are going to give you guys some tips. One thing is just, a story. I dealt with that like long before, with the, breadwinner losing the job and everything like that. And things, you could be understanding. I was an understanding person. I'm like, I gotta understand that. Let's try to get through this and all this other stuff like that. Those who who follow us and everything like that. Those who don't, I was actually in a marriage prior to this, and got a divorce because things got just out of hand. The thing is that my husband at the time, he lost his job. And it was a lot of stress and anxiety and how things were going to get paid and all this other stuff. And then the communication barrier broke down. And as that happened, a lot of other things just drifting. It was just horrible. And it was like, you know what? No, can't get past it, can't get through it. Time to go. The thing is, how do you not allow that to happen? You got to do your part as the other person, as the understanding person, but you also have to, both parties have to be willing to work at it. Both parties got to realize we are all under stress. It's not just happening to one person, right? It's not, if a person was to, and I keep talking about losing the job because in this lockdown, quarantine, and everything like that, things are shut down. People aren't working, and some people aren't getting paid for being at home. Right. So they did income. They can't do through social media, through a lot of that. Is that people can't work. They're wondering where the money come from, and we know that money is like a good cause. Like it's a known part of stress. It's if you don't have enough of it, you're wondering, you're stressful, you're stressed out.
And then you have children that are home that are not normally home.
The schools, being shut down and closed and everything. Like that.
In our city in particular, our daughter, bonus baby, went to the bank, and she's used to working with a particular woman. And she wasn't there, and they said, well, she didn't have someone to watch. And if there's not, a family where you have a husband and a wife, or wives, in our case, there's single mothers, there's single fathers, and the struggle of trying to hold to balance it all on yourself, being on your own, and then not having someone to watch your child. So there's a lot of children home that would not normally be home. There's husbands and wives that are home that are not normally there. And it's creating a balance that we're struggling with because it's disruptive. There's been disruption, so we haven't had time. Many of us haven't had time to balance things out. We are blessed to be able to work from home. And, we've been doing this a long time, and we've been able to create a balance, but still, we're not used to our children being home as much as they have been. So it's happening to us all. It's important how to, balance everything out and keep your head on.
Yeah, it's definitely the
straight.
mindset. It's definitely keeping that mindset. And so, okay, how do you? Okay, Coach Nyla.
That's
Okay,
cool, but-
Coach Fatimah. You guys are saying that. So how you do it? Well, right. One of the things is understanding that we are all under stress. We're human. We're all under stress. Now, that understanding part and that awareness part is like, that's the first step to change. So you understand, and then you say, you know what, now we got to devise a plan, a plan of action. Things have changed. Things have shifted. We got to find some type of normalcy in our lives. How do we do that? Coming together when cooler heads prevail. Like, you know what, hey, I'm gonna give you your space, even if it's in the same house. It's different rooms and different levels. I'm pretty sure a lot of us aren't living in just a one room house. Just giving some space to say, you know what, let's think about it. Let's kind of relax.
Take a break.
That's that patience part. We talked about that last week. The patience was patience over panic, where it's a lot going on. It's a lot. It seems like it's going real fast. It's changed rapidly. A lot of rapid change. A lot of us don't do too rapid change. A lot of us don't do well to change at all, but a lot of us don't do well to rapid change. So the thing is just say, you know what? Let me take a break, sit out, write down as much as I can, write down a lot of my anxieties. What is causing me to be anxious? What's causing me to have these issues? That in itself kind of like, oh my gosh, I am really tripping on these things. Why am I tripping on that? Sometimes you look at that and say, you know what? Okay, cross this off, cross that. This I don't need to trip on that. But then if that's not working for you, if it's some you see it and you're like, oh my gosh, it's a lot and it's way too much, and I don't know what I'm gonna do because it's still causing you this anxiety. Take the next step and say, you know what? Okay, worst case scenario, how do I deal with the worst case scenario? Worst case scenario, how this can happen. Would this ever happen? Anyway, for one, will it happen? If it's not going to happen, you might as well just whatever. But just take it off the list. But just say if it did, worst case scenario, if this did happen, what do I do? What will my best self do? What's the plan? And then you go through that, go through your own part, and then come together with your spouse and talk about that stuff together, and then devise a plan together. And then put some fun in it too, because a lot of times we're so anxious and so serious and so serious,
wound
and so
tight and rigid.
Rigid, that you don't have this fun. Give yourself permission to have fun, and give yourself permission to have fun together.
I'll tell you one thing: the people that live across the street from us partied last night. They had both sides of the street full of cars, and they partied till maybe midnight. And I was like, you know what? Oh, I wish they would stop. But then I said, I can't at them because they're trying to make their lives as normal as they can make them in their home.
Man, I should have called you because I swear the next door neighbors was doing that. I'm like, shut up. But no, seriously.
Well, see, that's across the street. Yeah, next door I might have been the same way.
But then I thought about it, I'm like, they haven't, they're having fun. And, but you still want to be mindful of the people who are around you. And you want to make sure that, there's certain times of the day and night or whatever. So you want to be mindful of that. Now, even the people in your house, be mindful of their space. Be mindful of your spouse's space. Be mindful if you're, if you're, and don't assume. That's gonna always. I'm gonna say that. You guys are like Coach Nyla always says this. Don't assume. Don't assume that that you don't know. If you have not asked and this person have not told you, you don't know what's going on with them. You don't know what's going on in their mind. You don't know what has been bothering them and plaguing them throughout the day. Understand that we are all human. We all have our, feelings, emotions, our ups, our downs, and things like that. And we need to be able to connect with one another, especially during that time.
Right.
If you see that somebody is hurting or having some issues, try to find out why. But let that person give you that permission too. But don't assume. Don't ever assume.
Right, exactly. That's true because my grandma used to say, when you assume, you make an ass out of you.
Mm-hmm.
But Sometimes she didn't take her own advice, but we had a situation. Remember, it was maybe last month. Someone had talked to me about, oh, I saw your co-wife. She didn't talk that much. And I said, she came up with a whole big old scenario that I had no idea about. And I said, did you ever think maybe she was tired? And it wasn't all this extra stuff you made up in your mind. They didn't. They even admitted, I didn't even think of that. Did you ever think it was a busy day and it was June? And she's very busy in June. No, I didn't even think of it. No, because you're too busy assuming all this stuff. And it wasn't that.
Right.
I'm like, I know her. It's my grandma used to say this. I'll talk about that lady a lot. But my grandma, she used to say when people would talk about her friends to her very close friends, because she only had a few, I know too much about her to doubt her. So when people, when she said it to me, I'm like, she's tired.
Yeah, I like that.
She was tired. So the assumption had this person all razzle-dazzled. Yeah. And I'm like, it wasn't that. You don't even know. Yeah. You know?
Don't assume.
So don't assume you know somebody so well that you know what's going on.
That too. I like that you said that, because sometimes and these prejudices, because we think we know. And we don't always know, because it could be a change. Like I said, and I talked about this last week. I think I talked about this last week when I was talking about DeVal and Kadeen, his wife Kadeen. I follow them, and he was talking about learning this woman every day or every year or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like things change, seasons change, people change, and then there's one thing that may have bothered this person one time may not bother the person this, or one thing that didn't bother a person this time may not have bothered the person that time. So you make sure that you keep the communication open, because if the lines of communication start to close, or just they're not there, or it's not proper communication, your connection starts to dwindle. And before
right on apart.
I'm actually going to talk about something that I wrote some notes about a book that we are reading. And I got to put my John C. Maxwell, because this man broke down some stuff with communication, and it was really, really, really good. He was talking about, I'm trying to get my stuff. He was talking about different things. Do you remember the part where he talked about the feeling versus doing? Shoot, I thought I had it, but okay, I don't have it. But yeah, I'm gonna get it to you guys, and probably post it on our site or something. But he talks about if you is feeling, it's like emotion, actions, and thoughts. Your connections got to be those three things, and that's how you connect. Because if you, it said if you know, it was different parts. Like if you know, but don't do, then it's hypocritical. Right. If you, it was different things. Yeah. And it was like if you're not doing it based on knowing the thing. That's that part. I love it. The part when we assume. You feel this way, but you don't know why this person is doing this thing. You don't know. So it's reckless, and it becomes reckless in your relationships when you do things like that. So you got to be careful. I had it written down, but it could have been in my other notebook. So, but hopefully those two scenarios helped, because when I was reading that, I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. Those three things: the knowing, the feeling, the feeling and the thoughts. So the intellectual, the emotion, and the action. It all goes together. And if one of them are missing, if anyone missing in the way you connect, there's going to be some disconnect there. Yeah. At least over time, there will be some disconnect over there. So you want to make sure that when you are communicating with your spouse, when you're trying to connect with your spouse, are you doing those three things?
And then if you don't know something, I love that. But in addition to that, If you don't know something, ask.
Yeah, that's that
You
part.
don't have to ask with attitude. You don't have to ask at the wrong time. You don't have to, I mean, have some humility and then ask a question. And you'll find that oftentimes you'll get the answer. It might not be the answer you want, but at least you have some clarity on what the other person is thinking. You know, I spent so much time in my 20s. I'm wondering. Now it's like, I'm just going to ask because I don't have time to like create scenarios and assumptions.
Yeah.
And we're all adults. I think we're in a position now where we can honor ourselves and our spouses and even our co-wives by asking questions. And then if you ask the question and you don't like the answer, don't set yourself to not like the answer. Just take what they're offering you as their truth and just process it. Don't go, I don't like it.
No, that's good. I
said.
love that you said it because it's so true. And I was just watching an episode of Women of Impact that was about that. It was like my story. She was like, I was able to tell my story. My story was my story to tell. So the thing is that I'm a type of person, and I still say I'm a type of person working on this, but getting better at it. But, you know, even though I know what my story is and I know what my truth is, I allow other people to make me question my story and question my truth.
Oh, they'll try to make you question your intelligence.
Yeah. So my thing is, I'm like, I know what I meant and I know what I said and I know my intention. Yeah. But you felt that way. You know, I apologize for you feeling that way. But then I'm like, okay, well, maybe I should have, or maybe I should have done this, or maybe I should. And that has caused, but it's caused me a lot of anxiety. You know, that was my thing. And I told you guys before, like certain things that makes I get jealous of some people who can do that, who can just say, you know what, this is me, this is what it is. You don't like it, too bad, that's your life. And just, but I'm like, that's the thing that I'm kind of working, not just to discredit or discount another person's feeling, but to also know that my feelings are, and know that my integrity is, you know, intact, and that I know what my intentions are. So be careful with that too, with each other. When you're trying to connect, don't discredit their person. Their story and their truth is their truth. So
and don't guilt yourself into, like, we both have had this happen to us, because what's interesting about it is that you usually see that people don't come at the man about it. They'll talk to the women. Why did your husband? And did you know she and woo and la? They don't come to the man with all these assumptions. Like they don't have the courage, I find. But they'll find a little courage to come to the women or have come to us and try to tell us what our story should be, or try to give us a narrative of what it should look like. Well, you know, if I was you, that's, you know what? And I've had this happen to me. Well, if I would you, and I had to tell them, you couldn't handle me, because I'm courageous enough to stand in my truth. And you want to sit up here and create what my truth is? You don't get to tell my story to me at all. Because then that would require them to be in there with your soul and in your body and in your heart and in your mind. And a lot of people will try it. And you're allowed to have your own truth and tell your own story. And if people don't like that, they can disagree with it. That's fine. But I'll tell, even with our children, they'll ask me something about their dad. I don't know. You got to ask him, because see, that's a question for him. Right. I can't answer that, because if I'm going, well, he might say woo and la. Go ask him. Right. Then I found that I would have said something different than he said to them. Right. So it's just best, ask the source. Don't ask me a question that your father should be answering.
It's fun. You were talking about, you know, you don't have the strength to be me. I started a book that was like, I make being me look easy. So, but yeah, I mean, because it is. People are like, oh, you're Superwoman, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it's, you know, it's a different thing. But yeah, different stuff. We're going to start taking questions in a minute. But yeah, if you guys got some questions, make sure you are putting it down in the chat roll, or whatever it is that you guys see, that you can type it in. You can also go to outstandingpersonalrelationships.com and make sure you sign up for our email list. If you're not a part of it, I don't know why you aren't yet, unless it's the first time seeing us. So
Yeah,
make sure you get on it. So that too. And for any other questions, email us at support@outstandingpersonalrelationships.com. So,
do we have any questions? And our husband is behind the scenes. If you guys just came into the live with us, and we're going to see if we have any questions at all. And let us know where you're from.
Yeah.
So we can shout you out.
So yes, hello.
All right. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, Shukran, for sharing your story. Really appreciate it. So my story is that I'm married to a husband of 6 months. I'm struggling with it because out of blue, he tells me he's married to his first wife because he divorced her while she was on her menstrual cycle when he did it, and didn't know. So this wife knows about his first wife, but not told her that he married again, and wasn't understanding why. So if he tells her she would keep his kids from him, it makes sense. So I don't know what's best. She's struggling. She needs some help.
So she's been married for 6 months, and she found out he's married. Still married.
Okay, well, one of the things is that,
right.
Oh, so one of the things is this: why did you marry? Did you get married did you get married under the pretense or the that he was not, to not practice polygyny? You know that you did not want to, or is it just the issue of the struggle with him not telling her? It's like, the thing is, it's a lot of variables in the situation. Right. The thing is that first and foremost is be true to yourself, be true to what you want. Because once you start to compromise that's when a lot of the problems are going to lie. He can only do what he can do. You can't control him.
Right.
He's going to do. You can't control her. She's going to do what she's going to do. You can only control what you can do. Mm-hmm. So, and you got to be able to live with yourself, whatever you make. You will be the one living with the decision and having to answer for that. Inshallah, at the end, at the end of your life or on Judgment Day. So the thing is being true to yourself, being true to your deen. And that's about without knowing the whole situation, because of the different variables, that is actually the best advice I can give to you right now.
Yeah, I
agree. My main concern is that he hasn't told her that he's also married to somebody else. And if he tells her, then she'll keep the kids from him. That's the main issue. It's not the other variables, but address this issue.
What is?
You're talking about if he don't tell her.
If he tells her, she won't get the kids from him.
Okay, that's what I said. What she does, what that wife does, and what he does, is
how can she cope with it?
How can she cope with it?
So the first wife would be keeping the kids from
That's
him.
his assumption.
I can't tell you how to cope. This is the thing, is what I'm saying. I can't tell how to cope with it, because it will still be your decision on if you want to be with this person. If he doesn't tell, this is what I'm saying. There are different variables. If he doesn't tell his wife, she would take, or if he does tell wife, as I said before, when we talked about writing down different things that cause you anxiety and what's the worst case scenario, how your best self would take care or handle that, you have to figure out that, if he doesn't tell her, would I still stay with him? If he doesn't tell her, would I still stay with him? I know it's love there, and I know it's those things there. So when it comes down to it, first and foremost, communicate with him. That's who you married to. You married to him. Communicate your thoughts, your fears, or your emotions, and your concerns, your thoughts to your husband about this situation. The thing is that you will have to figure out, do you want to stay, depending on whatever decision is made, or if you want to go, depending on what decision is made. And how to deal with that is, once again, as I said before, being true to yourself and being true to your deen and true to your feelings.
Right.
Actually, another question by IG. Do you ever have attitude moments, or have you mastered controlling your emotions?
Attitude moments?
No, not me.
Attitude moments.
Attitude moments.
Like,
No, I cannot tell you that I mastered. I just did you kind of hear my voice cracking when I was talking about certain things? No, there are times when I can be off on things that I've said. I probably a look, a side eye,
eye roll,
anything. So no, I have not mastered that.
I like to I see this. She's so cute. You guys don't understand how cute Coach Nyla is. She's so sweet. Like, this is when she says she does these things. I'm like, oh my God, I'm a thug sometimes with my stuff. I'll stare you down. I'll side eye you. I'll post up in the middle of the room. A mess. And I can't make. I'm sure he's not shaking with fear when I do it.
Right, exactly.
But
right.
I'm saying I'm a little bit. I got a little gangster with my bougie, I think. But I'll post up like like the leader of a gang. Like, what's up? And she's
So the answer is
so
yes.
awesome.
They have attitude
Yes
moments.
and yes.
They're humans. They're still humans.
Yeah,
And they work on mastering their emotions, because it's
our attitudes are
we're really
different.
about GLC. It's all about growth, love, and connection. I mean, that's really our whole philosophy here at Outstanding Personal Relationships. So yes, they still human. Yep, they got attitude problems. Not me. They definitely do.
He got one. He know. And
I'm
he's
tripping.
joking with.
I'm tripping, but yeah. So indeed, I mean, they're still human, and we also have another good question too.
I thought he's gonna say tan laundry like on Jersey Shore.
What, girl?
Because he's
Anyway, but yeah.
I'm a religionist. He's not found a wife yet. I'm excited for him, but my fear is having a wife that tries to be super controlling. How do you handle that?
Ooh,
See?
let me tell you something real quick.
Go ahead, because mine's gonna keep going to the same circle.
I've had this told to me before. I don't know both sides of. I said something about years ago, meaning 2 years ago, but they were saying that the subsequent, it doesn't matter because it can happen with the initial, subsequent, the third or fourth, was controlling, and the husband wasn't doing anything about it, and it's really saying he has to get in there and work on and stop, because he's the one in the middle. We're Muslim. He's the imam of the house. He's the leader of the family in addition to his wife. So it's kind of like you got to check that in when that happens. It's like, why is it happening? First of all, why is it happening? Is there a fear that's linked to the control? Like, if I'm not in control, then maybe he'll give the other wife more. Is it that? Like, what is the source of that?
Yeah. And the thing is, as you stated, you said you have a fear that it has not happened. So the thing is that, okay, we'll say if that was to be the case, the thing is, you're not married to her, you're married to him. When it comes to that, I said, my stuff is go come into this loop. I think as wives, we forget, or we think that we actually have control over the other person. And we don't have control over our husband. We don't have control over the wife or anything else. We only have control over ourselves. That's his issue that he has to deal with. But if it's trickling into your space and your household and everything like that, that's where that communication, and we will hammer that in. That's where the communication comes to, where you speak to him about your issues and your thoughts and everything. But if it has not happened, don't say of anxiety about what coulda, shoulda, woulda, and it has not done it. It has not been there.
This is Shalom, fam, down in Atlanta, GA. All right.
Georgia.
All right, well, there you go.
It's on you. So what you going?
That's a mic to you.
Right.
Yeah.
There it is.
All right. So the question is, Brother Nadir, in this day and age, it's hard to practice poly. How did you go about finding a second wife, and would you have done things? Okay. One, I wasn't even looking for poly, to be clear. Would I have done things differently? Yeah, absolutely. That's the short answer. But he also goes, he said, and also, how would you advise a brother whose first wife is against poly?
Wait, hold on. No, you just stopped. So I was, first of
It's
all,
the
I
same
wasn't looking to poly, but then you was like, just left it at that. Okay, so I'm just
no,
going.
no. This question is to me.
Okay.
This is also a second part of the question.
Okay.
Oh,
So
okay,
that
let's
question
hit
is not. All right.
I know, but
Slow down.
You didn't finish
Slow
that answer to that part. That's all I was saying. Okay.
And he goes on a little further. So the full question. This day and age, it's hard to practice poly. How'd you go about finding a second wife? And would you have done things differently? Also, how would you advise a brother whose first wife is against poly? Do you think that the wife is being selfish, or is the brother taking a risk? All right. So, new. All right. So, and going on all this, in this day and age, it's hard to practice poly. Yeah, I guess I haven't practiced it before, but it is a challenge. I mean, it requires you to become more than twice the man. I've said that a lot, and it does take a lot more from a man to be more emotionally versatile, being able to communicate better, be able to really be focused on personal growth, and be patient. You know, patient doesn't just mean waiting. I mean, you're actually working towards something. And it's all part of being patient. So, how did I go about finding a second wife, and would you have done things differently? Yes. One, I didn't really go out. I didn't set down any goals to say, okay, I'm going to look for a second wife after 15 years and stuff like that. That wasn't even the process. I was living my life for the most part, but I wasn't averse or against, polygyny. I don't really know many men that are, but I wasn't necessarily prepared for it adequately either to begin with. However, options did present themselves in different circumstances. Things kind of lined up. But would I have done things differently? Yes, because we talk about best practices and we've learned. If you don't learn from your mistake, then it's just a mistake and you kind of just messed up. You know what I'm saying? But you get wisdom from experience and reflecting on that and getting the lessons from it. So either you're going to win or you're going to learn. You know what I'm saying? So at least that's what, part of my philosophy. So I've done things differently. Yeah, I mean, ideally it would be better to have an understanding and agreement beforehand and so on and, show what the goal is and paint this properly and everything. But the challenge is we plan a lot out of the best of planners as well. For me, it'd been better to just already have multiple 5 figures coming in every month and have different investments. All these types of things could be great and lined up in advance in my head for my plans, but that wasn't the plan. So I would have absolutely done stuff differently, but it's different for every person, whether it's in the same city, a few blocks away, different states, different countries. There are many different variables and challenges that may arise. So there's not a cookie cutter thing, but of course, if a person just thinks, oh, I just made all those same mistakes to get me where the point I am, you can still get the wisdom without having to go through all of those different mistakes. Okay, so I absolutely, from what I learned, and that's one of the reasons we really began OPR is to really help people shorten that learning curve. If you can learn from my mistake, why go make your own? And so many that brothers and sisters have already been making to begin with. All right, find the path of least resistance that's going to help you achieve and get to the goal that you set out. That's very, very important. That's the first part. So also, how would you advise a brother whose first wife is against polygyny? Well, how would I advise it? Well, first of all, as a man, the decision and choice is going to be yours, as are the consequences or rewards. Okay, so you have to really analyze your situation, because when you ask the question saying, how do you go about it, right? What did he say? He said, how do you go about finding a second wife? I don't know. Okay, I don't know. But what I would say is to become more attractive, because your potential second wife will find you. Okay, if you're doing your thing and doing what you're supposed to be doing, you're upright and so on, you have these characteristics that are attractive, then your second wife will find you. More than one will be interested or express interest. Okay, and I heard a long time ago, my mother said, a woman doesn't want a man that another woman doesn't want, which means multiple women may want somebody, and they notice, women notice. That's in them, if you will. Become more attractive. So focus on your leadership skills, focus on your communication skills, your financial, focus on you and growing better, and you'll attract that which you desire. And it's not some law of attraction, where you just think about it, it's going to come to you. No, you got to put in the work first. Right. All right. So if you want to be healthy and so on and so forth, it's not just you want to be healthy. You have to actually do something, and over time, reflect on that. So become more attractive is my advice. And that's really with almost anything in life. So do you think first wife being selfish is brothers taking a risk? You have to analyze your situation, bro. So are you a good brother? Are you a good dude? You know what I'm saying? Are you worth staying with anyway? Are you already having issues where you consider not staying with somebody? Because polygyny is not a solution to a failed marriage. Like, oh, this isn't doing right. Let me get another one to go focus on over here. This ain't that. All right. So do I think, wife's being selfish, or is the brother's going to be taking a risk regardless? We live in a society that conditions so much so that it seems weird or out of the ordinary. However, if you look over just the last few thousand years of recorded history, that's the norm. Monogamy is actually abnormal. Similarly, when you look at religions that say, you're married to the church, or you see these priests or nuns, and a lot of the whole sex abuse scandal, once you go against the natural disposition, if you will, of humans, it's a whole lot of deviation and evil things that come from that. So when we talk about marriage, we talk about marriage, period. So whether it's monogamy or polygyny, we just know that monogamy doesn't work in today's age, period. I mean, think about it. Think about those who are married. I have uncles, aunts, and relatives, other individuals, grandparents, all kind of stuff. And I can't tell you that anybody was just monogamous, just that one person.
I don't know any.
Or people practice serial quasi-polygamy. So they have girlfriends, boyfriends, or they date all the time, and they just had this polyamorous relationships where, it's not polygyny, it's
right.
Marriage in essence. We should be selfish on being kind and really providing for and so on. Is she going to be selfish? Do people want more? Look, nothing satisfies us, meaning children of Adam, except dirt. We always going to want more. It's natural. We can be grateful for what we have. We can be happily content and still want more for what it brings. That's in us. That's in us specifically when it comes to women and family, as Allah Ta'ala says in Quran, if you're Muslim. Okay, men, the love of women for men, it is what it is. That's why Allah Ta'ala says specifically what men will have in Jannah and everything else, not for women. It's totally different for women. All right. So with that being said, could she be selfish? Maybe. But if you're a good dude, then you have to weigh whether or not it's worth it for you in your circumstances, situation to risk that if she's a good woman and everything else. Or are you going to live a life of resentment because you didn't do it? So you have to weigh those things out within yourself to see what is or isn't worth it and what your understanding is, bro. It's not easy, but again, you got to be more than twice the man. So you have to be willing to deal with the drama and the challenges and all the stuff that come with marriage, period, let alone more than one. And I hope that helps.
And I want to say something real quick. I think a lot of times it's not necessarily selfish, but you think about the women that have a good husband. They don't want to share him with anybody. They don't want to share their good dude, but they might not have studied it either.
No, not even to study it.
I felt better. I studied it.
I'm like, hey, because I'm like, I want everybody else to be happy. So, hey, no, but it's just like I said,
rare.
Just different. Just different.
And then when I looked into it and studied it, it made more sense to me. And I didn't know I'd need polygyny in my life because I just was like, oh, 295 is me and him, that's it. But I didn't know I'd need it, or I didn't know I'd want it.
Oh, the best thing I never knew I needed.
Matter of choice. It's his right to remarry, but it's also her right to choose to be a part of polygyny if she wishes. There should be no hate or resentment on either side. In my opinion, the wife has decided walking away is worth ending the marriage, and the husband has decided remarrying is worth risking his marriage, family, that or compromise. True, less words. I mean, there should be no hate or resentment. We really can't govern emotions, but I understand what you mean there. But yeah, I wish I'd have just said, like, if you wrote that first, I could have just read that. So let me get off the way. Thank you, sis.
Any more questions, y'all? Yeah, that's it.
All right, check some great questions, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you. And then,
What's a good situation would be like if we really get quarantined?
So what is it?
What?
If there's a quarantine, are we all gonna be living under one roof or what?
No.
I think so.
No.
I mean,
You're making it hard for me to get offline. I wish you gotta go. All right, Miss J, lady 100.
all right, lady.
Enjoy your day.
Enjoy your day. But yeah,
We
our
can't
family is like
accommodate that.
really
Our
huge.
family is
I mean,
humongous.
I mean, to me, I'm
that
like, it's
I can't accommodate.
All right, look, this situation, that question
Here
really
he
directed me
is.
more than anything else because it's my decision. That's my stuff right there. It depends on the length and the challenge. Sometimes if it's just a simple curfew, since we already live in close proximity to each other, that's 4 blocks apart. That's not an issue. That's just a matter of me going back and forth, and alhamdulillah, we have big sons. So when it comes to different parts of protection and looking out and stuff like that, and having communication devices in case cell phone stuff go out, we got that. But should it be something that able to leave your home, you have the National Guard patrolling the streets, or it's complete martial law, and actually calling that versus shelter in place or stay at home type stuff instead of saying what it really is, then we'll make that decision at that time. But right now, it's easier for everybody, less stressful for everybody, going on with normalcy, but making sure that we are absolutely prepared. So, good question. And
it's still, if we're able to, I mean, our family is very, very big. So, everybody's stuff is different,
True. And, but that's the thing, the way we talk about that too. And we talked about that in our, like our family episode that we talked about trainings and things like that. We've been preparing for doing preparedness for like a long time. So even if it was to the point where we were separated, we would still be able to take care of ourselves and each other in that type of situation, because we've, we actually look to the future of and what ifs and different things like that. So if you guys haven't, that's another thing to stay connected to create this connection. Make sure you guys are preparing for some whatever, I guess, crisis situation.
Have
like
different
that. Don't
options.
allow it to be a crisis in order for you guys to actually get together and connect and be able to take care of each other. So
yeah, that's true.
Indeed, good.
So if there's no many more questions, I can't speak right now. There isn't any more questions. Guys, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the video. Because sharing is caring. We enjoy speaking with you guys. Hope you guys got some great information from this. So until next time, assalamu alaikum. Peace.
Assalamu alaikum. Peace.
Now, if you are on IG or Facebook and there were any issues with the camera or whatnot, you can always go to YouTube. That's where we stream it. We are not having any issues there. And as always, our mission with OPR is that GLC. It's focused on that personal growth, expanding your love, so you have much better connections. All right, so I'm like, peace.
Peace.